All right. Welcome back to Smartly Uneducated. Before we just dive in, because we are going to talk about declassified alien UFO cases, we have a few with a bit of detail. Before we get into that, though, one, we are now on Spotify. That's up and running. We don't have all the episodes over there yet, but we're in the process. So I think we have like 9 or 10 episodes up. By tomorrow, there'll be like 9 or 10. And it'll be all the backdated episodes will be uploading like every day until it's filled, and then of course all of our current ones will go out when we do them. So like next week, this episode, well, actually this episode won't come out for a few weeks, but we have like the DARPA episode and stuff like that got removed from YouTube. That's going to be up on Spotify. And
it's November 3rd right now to look behind the veil, behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who are just listening on Spotify right now, we see you, we love you, we thank you. For my audio only people, I'm just like you. Like I don't like watching videos. And
we must be doing something right. We must be doing something right because I have not advertised Spotify at all. We've only had it up for a week. As of today, it's been up for 1 week, and we already have 216 followers. That just blew up out of nowhere. So 1 week, no advertising. We must be doing something right for people to keep.
I love that
doing it.
That's cool. Everybody who's listening, go force your people to listen to it. Anybody you know, lock them in a room, turn on the podcast, make them subscribe, make them watch it, listen to it, whatever. Just tell everybody you know about this podcast to go listen to it and check it out.
And
share it on all your social medias, do all that bullshit, right?
And when you do these things, let them know that Benjamin and the Wiz will be hiding in the closet. One of us will either be under the closet and the other one will be under the bed, and we'll be whispering sweet nothings to each other, not to you, but just to each other. And you get to be there.
Your fridge. I'll be at
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna sit there and he's gonna go through your fridge while this is happening, and he's gonna be like, processed cheese. Where's the dairy market? Yeah, we go to a farmer's market, my guy. Come on, bro. We all go. We go.
This cheese. Go help out your local farmers.
No,
do something good in your life. Damn it.
Evan will fully conform and contort into his Yank version of himself, with accent and all, bitching about your dairy choices.
That's really easy to do. I got stuck in character the other day. I forget what I was doing. I was talking to the kid and I just went on this spiel for a solid like 30 minutes and I couldn't get out of the character I was in. And I had to like step away from the conversation just to remember what my voice was.
Well, that's what we do over here, bro. We're going to talk like this for the rest of the goddamn podcast, bro. Just like this. Anyways, I don't know why.
Now that housekeeping's out of the way, you said you had some really interesting things to talk about related to UFOs and aliens.
Oh,
there was a news article I saw up there in Canada, like it happened on September 25th, which is a little while back now in relations to everything. A ride got stuck upside down at a carnival. So think of like big uppercase T's. They were upside down, heads facing the earth for like 30 minutes as like the amusement park was talking about how they did everything right. It did all the mechanical checks and this thing still got stuck up there. Could you fucking...
Hey, wait, real quick for context. Are you talking about like the ones that kind of swing back and forth that kind of look like a saw blade cutting a piece of rope in the movies?
Exactly.
Oh.
They go and then they go all the way full circle,
Yeah, so they were stuck up at the top in a T fashion, like a capital T.
Yeah. Yes.
And you said that someone was yelling something out at them, or someone yelled?
Yeah, so there's a TikTok video of it, and you can hear the employees of the megaphone. They're saying, "Are you okay up there?" And almost in unison, all 45 of these people say, "No."
That's great, man. It's fucking
On the
great.
video, the person who's like recording it, they're like, "Oh hell no, these motherfuckers! Oh hell no."
That's great.
I would be fucking pissed though, being stuck up there.
Well, I mean, since you said that, I'll bring up something that happened in the I think it was like 1999 or 2000 here in Texas. There was that person. There was this. It was at Six Flags over Texas, and I believe it was the 90s, like 99 or 2000. It was right there at the start of the year or right at the end of that that decade, and it was that the Superman. You know how there's like a few different versions of Superman depending on where you go,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's a one where you go up real slow, and it's like imagine just like a square stick that goes up like 200 feet in the air, and
Square what?
stick. Imagine like a rectangle. It was like basically like a giant tower, and the seats go around it, right? So you ride up like this. So where the perimeter of my hands are is where all the seats are, and you face out, and so you're looking over the entire park, and you can see like the Dallas skyline and shit. And you go up real high, and then it just drops you. Like, you know what I'm talking about? You ever seen
I
that?
know exactly what you're talking about. I've done them before. Like you go with your cute little girlfriend or your friend. That's right. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Let's get on this thing.
It's every middle schooler's dream. Let me just say this. It's every middle schooler's dream to go there with your very first girlfriend when you're starting to hit that entry door into puberty, because you're like, "Hey, I no longer have to meet at the pencil sharpener. I've now graduated up for my dates. Now we are going to Six Flags with my parents, and we can sneak off, and we're gonna make out behind something somewhere. Ooh, look, a trash can. Perfect cover." You know what I mean?
Look, the Superman ride. Let's go hop on that one.
Billy lost his leg. Like, no. So yeah, something like that. A bad thing happened, and I can't remember if it was the penny one or if it was the time the kid lost his foot. Because
I've heard about the penny one.
yeah, I don't remember if I don't know if that was the one that happened in Texas, but both the incidents happened like in the around the same time frame, like within a year or two, where a penny fell, someone let go of a penny and it went into someone's skull and killed them down below because they didn't have safety nets at the time. And then they put in the safety nets, and then some type of
Could you imagine walking side by side with
I swear to God, man, if someone calls me a little kid one more time, my head's gonna explode. Then the penny just hits right at the time. Oh, that's fucked up. But anyways, but no, I think it was the.
Is it too soon?
Nah, it's never too soon. I think what happened was someone lost their foot, and like completely severed their foot, and it was not a kid. It was like a mid-20s person, someone who was an adult.
90-year-old grandma. Yeah, 90.
Shit, no, it was someone younger. They were an adult, but they lost their foot. Their entire foot from like mid shin down got completely ripped off, and
Dang.
I don't know how it
Dang.
happened, but it did. It did. Anyways, moving on from the theme park rides, let's get into some UFOs. And I really want to the one, if you're cool with it, I want to lead the way and start with one of them.
Hey, yeah, this is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so this one is called the Cash-Landrum Incident. So I did a little bit of research on these, and this one in particular, I actually have the witness like reenactments of people actually like what they said verbatim when they witnessed things. So I'm gonna read that first. So it's like kind of like you're there.
Cool.
So this is from Betty Cash. So it was a clear evening on December 29th, 1980, when I was driving home from a dinner with my friend Vicky Landrum and her grandson Colby. As we were driving on a rural road near Huffman, Texas, we noticed a bright light in the night sky. At first, we thought it might be an airplane, but it was much larger and brighter than any plane I had ever seen. Now, this is where Vicky Landrum speaks. Betty was driving and I was in the passenger seat. Colby was in the back. As we continued, the light got closer and lower, and we realized it wasn't an ordinary craft. It was diamond-shaped object, and flames were shooting out of the bottom. The heat was intense, and we had to stop the car.
Be Colby.
What was that? Yeah.
Landrum?
Yeah, read Colby.
I was scared. The object was hovering in the sky, and the flames were so bright that it hurt. Feel the heat even inside the car.
Betty Cash. We got out of the car to get a better look. I remember feeling the heat on my skin. There were military helicopters circling the object, which made us think it was something important. But then the helicopters seemed to be escorting it. Vicky Landrum. We watched in disbelief as the object slowly ascended and moved away. The helicopters followed it. We were terrified and confused about what we had just witnessed. Colby Landrum.
After the incident, we all experienced health issues, including nausea, vomiting, and hair loss. We sought medical help, and doctors couldn't explain anything about our symptoms.
Now, that is all the kind of the reenactment type thing that I kind of pieced together. I actually had to piece that together, by the way, and I had to try
That's the craziest shit ever.
Yeah, and I have a bunch more information about this shit. Now I do have it in the book. We're not going to cover every little thing, but we are going to cover some main crucial points. And one, we're going to start with the physical effects. So Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum, and Colby Landrum all suffered from physical symptoms following the encounter. These included nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, burns, and even hair loss. Dude, these health issues were attributed by the witnesses to their proximity to the identified object and its intense heat. So before we go on to the next part, I can tell you right now that matches up with so many other UFO encounter claims of where you find out that the reason why they lost hair and they had these burns was due to not just heat, but a form of radiation that was emitting off of this craft, off of these types of crafts.
Isn't that what Bob Lazar said would happen with that element 115?
Yeah. So yeah. What you're referring to is when the engine was malfunctioning, and then that's when he found out that someone died before messing with it, and radiation killed him, and lost all of his hair, like intense heat and like this intense weird radiation that was because it was malfunctioning, it wasn't running correctly.
I don't know if you have done any well, it sounds like you've done a lot of research. I mean, have you looked up what like the drawings were that they did after the fact? And you can see the damage on their skin.
Yes. So I do have pictures. Actually, I'll give a shout out to these books because I think that's important for this. Just because I did get, now this case, I only got some of the information from the books. So all the cases that we're talking about, I got them from here, which is these two different books. The Black Vault and CIA UFO Papers. And then, of course, I had to do my other research on my own, pulling stuff up, which is all public information, which is coming from government, the government website, which was crazy. It was actually coming from there. Anyways, so yeah, it lines up with other encounters that people have of like being around these crafts. Now let's move into like the witness testimonies and that kind of little category I made. So the witness descriptions of the object and the events were all consistent, and they all reported a diamond-shaped UFO emitting flames and intense heat. Now, the whole emitting flames thing, I have heard of this before, but with other type of UFO craft, like the shapes, right? Where obviously there was some type of malfunction going on, and you could tell, like, basically they're like, yeah, the craft obviously was having some type of issue because it was shooting like the disc shaped ones. Like there was ones, reports of UFOs or whatever, and the disc was basically hovering abnormal. We're talking like 30 foot off the ground, and it was having a hard time. and it was making lots of crazy loud noises, which normally they're dead silent. And it was just shooting out flames out of the rim of the frisbee shape. It was having issues.
Wild.
Yeah, and then it was like, and then of course I think one of them said not just the rim, but also down below it too. Like it was basically emitting random flames out of different places, which means the engine was having issues of some form. I mean, we say the engine, but we don't know. We're just going off of what Bob Lazar said.
Malfunctioning or whatever, and
Yep.
we're not firsthand experiences. We're just going off of our basic research.
Yep. 100%. So there's that. So let's talk about the helicopters. So they said that it was being escorted by a bunch of helicopters. So the witnesses estimated, so they all put their heads together and tried to count out how many they actually saw. And this is in the police reports that were made because they went to the police about this and everything. And also, just a side note, there was other witnesses in the area that saw this. 100%. There was other witness reports that were not these people. And those reports came in to the police station about the same thing that they witnessed, but they were the ones who were at ground zero, basically. They were the closest to it. They had that contact where, apparently there was over 80 different calls came into the police station, 911 calls, basically. Yeah. Over 80, all describing the same thing with a mess of helicopters. But the witnesses estimated there were 23 military helicopters escorting the UFO. This large number of helicopters has led to speculation about the object's significance and possible military involvement. So one of the questions to pose is this a military craft, like a reverse engineered type thing that's some classified project, or is this a legit UFO? Now, if they're being escorted, if that thing was being escorted, then that just tells me that it's more than likely a UFO, that it's not man-made. Because this took place in, what was it again? 1980. Yeah. So it's like, this took place in 1980. So I would bet that it is not something that we created. I would bet that it's probably a reverse engineered or one that we recovered.
It was also right.
Oh, what's the significance of that? I'm just curious.
Every time our planet goes around the sun.
Oh, shit.
Might be closer to one sort of section where they can land on us or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I heard a theory about that. We'll get into that later, but I want to come back to that because I heard a theory about the whole where the Earth is in rotation and placement in our solar system when these sightings tend to happen. It's kind of weird. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
I definitely have. I'm a firm believer that where we are moving, because it's like a spiral continuously going through the universe, right, through the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on where we are at the moment in time, we could just be passing by some sort of, I don't know, super cluster of humanoids or whatever. Who knows?
Well, if you think about the torus, we talked about it many times. They've proven that the torus is interwoven everything, depending on where you are in the cusp of the egg concept, right? When we talked about that, that plays a pretty big fucking role. I
found out that the torus is a part of the geometry. What is that? The
sacred geometry.
It's a part of sacred geometry right there with the.
Mm-hmm. There's hieroglyphics on the pyramids of the torus. That's pretty fucking wild that they have that donut shape. It basically looks like a donut, only it's a much bigger, like it's actually on imagine like a 10-foot by 10-foot area. It's actually, I wouldn't even call it, sorry, I shouldn't have even called it a hieroglyphic. It's just a wall art. Let's just call it wall art. It takes up 10 by 10-foot area inside the pyramid in one of the chambers.
It's wild.
Yeah, I don't remember which pyramid it was, but it's not in every single pyramid. So I don't know. And it has all the lines for making that torus trajectory where it shows all the lines intermitting around each other and shit. It's pretty wild.
Ooh, it says that it's inside of the Great Pyramid in Bull Mountain.
No shit.
The Giza Plateau.
Isn't that one of the bigger pyramids? Like one of the bigger ones?
That's one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking wild. I tell you right now. And, you know, we're not talking about pyramids this time. I got shit I wanted to go into just now. I'm not going to. So let's move on to the next part. So legal action. So I made this category. So Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum, and Colby Landrum filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government, claiming that their health issues resulted from the incident that the government was responsible for. I mean, who wouldn't think that? Because you got those fucking helicopters. And now, one detail about the helicopters that was not, that I forgot to put in the notes, which I just now realized. So a lot of time when you see a military helicopter, you can use binoculars. And, you know, if you're close enough to it, or maybe you're a little bit too far away, if you were to look at a military helicopter flying around any military base and look at it through binoculars, it has numbers on it. It's got markings and all that shit. There was witness accounts of 911 calls coming in, and people were saying that were close enough to some of the helicopters where they could clearly see the sides of them. These were pure pitch black helicopters. No markings, no running lights. The only lights that were on it were basically the giant, basically like floodlight that's, spotlight that's on the craft, shit like that. And, there was obviously a lot of light coming off of the UFO because it was emitting flames, right? So because it was lighting shit up. But the thing is, apparently, according to most of the witness call-ins, not these witnesses, but the other ones. Now, I believe it did say that they were saying that they couldn't see any markings on the helicopters. So they thought they were they just assumed they were military, obviously, but they didn't think about the fact that they were unmarked. But there's tons of, we're talking at least 20 calls. 20 documented calls came in of unmarked military helicopters. And we're talking.
So right there where Huffman, Texas is, it's about 40 to 45 minutes in the woodlands. It's also about 15 minutes from the airport, the international airport there. So that sort of explains why so many people were able to see it. Now,
well,
right now, that is
there's another important geological location near there. NASA.
Yeah, NASA is pretty much right there
It's very close. Very close. You have NASA craft, any type of NASA personnel craft. When I say personnel craft, I'm just saying ownership of the craft, right? You see them all the time down in that area. You could be within 50 miles of the NASA HQ and you're going to see craft flying over you, either going there or leaving there, depending on what direction they decide to go in. So it's you have a giant entity that deals with space and aerodynamics right there. And there's already plenty of documents and evidence out there suggest, that pretty much is saying that NASA knows way more than they say. Way fucking more.
Have to. They have to.
Especially with all the astronauts. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked like we normally do. Now, so we already covered legal action, obviously. So the case got dismissed, right? Unfortunately, the case got dismissed because all the military claimed, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? We have everything documented. They had third-party investigators come in that weren't affiliated, and they literally could prove that all of their craft were exactly where they're supposed to be. They weren't in that area. Now that just tells me off the book projects, black book projects. We've talked about it before with Stephen. Sections of the government, or not even sections of the government. We're talking about something that's not even a part of the government. It got removed a long time ago, hence why there's not a paper trail. And people don't know about it. Except for very certain people, because you have to keep certain political stances hence why all that money goes missing all the fucking time. Randomly in our budgets that just disappears, that people don't understand how it's gone. Even high up politicians are freaking the fuck out about that kind of shit. It just disappears. We talked about that with Steven, with Cyber Steve. Anyways, so let's move on. So investigations. So the Cash-Landrum incident gained the attention of various UFO investigators and researchers. Some believed it was one of the most credible UFO cases due to the multiple witnesses and then and the physical evidence, like the actual what they sustained to their bodies. Oh, and I forgot to even mention their car. I meant to put that in there. So their car's paint bubbled and warped.
What?
Yeah, the paint on the car, their vehicle, bubbled and warped, and their tires all basically blew out within the next 24 hours. Because I don't know if you ever seen what happens when you expose rubber, especially rubber that's under pressure, to it really intense forms of radiation. You should YouTube that sometimes. Dude, it
Can't
literally,
say I have.
the durability and the malleability like all of a sudden changes, like as if you put it through like a demoleculizer or some shit. Oh dude, it's
The
wild.
hell?
Oh yeah, like you'll see rubber basically start molding. It's kind of like watching butter melt. And now that's just rubber sitting on the ground. Now imagine it under, as a tire with compression inside of it, you know because the tires were all misshapen the next day. Then 24 hours later, all four tires on the vehicle were completely flat and misshapen and destroyed.
Yeah, it says rubber polymer specifically is very susceptible to radiation.
Mm-hmm.
It can even lead to the mechanical properties of the rubber being completely changed.
Yep. Yeah, they said that one of the tires looked like as if the rubber just melted around it, and it made like a circle up top, and then it melted down like butter into a puddle. That's what one of the tires apparently looked like.
Just flattens
The
out.
next day. No, it didn't even just flat. It looked the rubber literally turned into like a liquid goop ball on the ground when it was parked in their driveway.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and that's to say something about the type of radiation it was, because who knows what type that was. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's move on. So investigation. So let's see here. We saw recover investigations, military denial. So I already said it earlier. So despite the witness claims of the military involvement, U.S. military denied any knowledge or responsibility for the incident. However, some researchers have suggested that classified military operations may have been a large factor.
No shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, off the book shit. Off the book shit. So government
But yeah,
documents.
this is super confidential. Nobody knows about this. This is very
Yeah, so I'm gonna read through these last two super fast because we can move. We need to move on to the next one. So, government documents. Over the years, researchers have requested declassified government documents related to the incident, but much of the information remains classified, leading to ongoing speculation about the true nature of this event. So there are classified documents about this event that when the government came out and investigated, because there was government that came out and investigated, because even they were like, "What the fuck happened? Like what?" And it was actually under the guise. So the people who came out and investigated, just for clarification. So Blue Book, I can't remember when Project Blue Book ended. I want to say it was like 1969 or 70 or something like that. That it on paper ended, but really it never actually ended. They just started a new project, but they just didn't call it Project Blue Book. I can't remember, but pretty much the new version of Project Blue Book under a different name came out and investigated it. So there's that, and then of course unresolved mystery. So this event remains unsolved, and pretty much is just a subject of interest in the UFO community. So it's one of the best documented ones, and yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's it on that
so
one.
fucking cool.
Which one do you want to do next?
I really like the Ariel School phenomenon. That one. The man, I don't know. There's so many cool ones that you've sent over to me.
Let's do the Ariel School. That one's a little bit more commonly known, I feel like, at this point, because it has to do with the kids.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, this is modern day. You can do a follow up if you go to YouTube. They got all the kids together as adults, and they all remember it the exact same, because this happened to children. Yeah, we're talking faculty members even saw it, children saw it. And this has to do with actual encounters with aliens and not just a craft. And it happened to all these little kids. Like we're talking like 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds. that all say the same fucking thing. And we're talking about like 20 or 30 kids at a school. So, you want me to start it and we just kind of intermittent jump on and on?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Go right ahead.
this is the Ariel School UFO Encounter. So, witnesses, which are the students at Ariel School, and this is in Zimbabwe. So, on September 16th, 1994, in Rua, Zimbabwe, over 60, it wasn't 20 or 30, it was 60. Over 60 students at the Ariel School reported an astonishing encounter with a UFO and its occupants. The object observed was described as a silver disc-shaped craft that hovered silently in a clearing near the school. It emitted lights and had rainbow-like quality to it. Bending light around it is what it's doing. To give it that rainbow effect where you bend the light and then moisture goes through the air and creates the rainbow type effect. So the students during their morning break noticed that the UFO and two small humanoid beings beside it. These beings were approximately 1 meter, so that's 3.3 foot tall, with olive-colored skin, large slanted eyes, and dark suits. They communicated telepathically, which is in every single fucking alien encounter ever known, conveying a message about environmental concerns and the need to care for the Earth. Now, it sounds like some type of... I mean, I know that sounds like, hippie and shit, but that kind of makes sense in a way because we were at the point like this took place in 1994, but we had just got done dealing with how many potential nuclear wars did we already almost have? Like 2 at that point, with all other kinds of crazy shit going on all around the world.
These aliens went to go talk to these kids because they're the same height.
That's less intimidating, bro. They're all right. Cool. Let's go, dude. They're all about they play in the dirt down here. So let's talk about the environment.
They're not using telepathy. They're just using really good puppetry. Like, what's that? What's that fucking thing with the puppet?
Sock puppet?
Talking about my
sock puppet?
Voluntary
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ventriloquism.
Ventriloquism. Yeah.
God, that roared fucking lost me right there.
Yeah. So the students' testimonies were remarkably consistent in their descriptions of the craft, the beings, and the telepathic communication. They were interviewed separately. So 60 kids were all separated from each other, and they were all interviewed, and they all said the same goddamn thing. Like, all the same fucking thing. Like, it was like, no, this is what happened. Like, this is what it said to me. This is what I saw. 60 kids. There's no way.
That's a lot.
Dude, you
ain't no way that the 60 kids got the same story. That has to be true.
No, and plus, think about it realistically. You play the telephone game and the telephone game is like whispering in someone's ear and see how much it changes as it goes around the fucking room. You play that with 10 people, and the last person who speaks, it's always fucked up. Always fucked up.
It's not even close to what the original person said. Not even close.
No, and that's having like adults do it who are, they're not little kids anymore and get distracted and all that shit.
They should be cognitive.
Oh yeah. So they were interviewed separately by researchers and maintained their stories over time. Now they did do a thing. You can YouTube this. Anyone YouTube this. Just search for Zimbabwe school kids UFO encounter reunion or something. Just search something like that. Basically they got a researcher here within the past, I think it happened like 10 years ago or 8 years ago. They went and got with these kids. Again, they hunted down all these people who were there for the event, all these little kids. To this day, they all say the same thing. They said, you just have to watch their videos of them as adults talking about it. Like, it obviously changed their life, having this encounter, this experience. It's very, not just captivating, but what's the word for it? It's not just captivating. It's like, it's very
eye-opening
and grounding. Like, it really you can see the realism in their eyes, like the reality. Like it's not some type of fabrication. You know, they gain nothing from this. Some people, some of the kids who are adults now feel like their lives got ruined on and off because they were constantly getting, you know, harassed by, like, there was one kid who claimed, you know, he's not a kid now, but, you know, when he was like a teenager, you know, after the event happened, over the years growing up, his family would get harassed by random, like, government officials. Random dudes in black suits would show up at the house wanting to berate them. Some kids were, you know, you know, it wasn't just someone coming and knocking on the door. It was them also being told, like, pretty much like, stop, you know, you need to come forward and say what you saw wasn't true. You know, you need to stop lying.
It's wild.
Yeah. From unknown dudes in suits and shit.
Wonder how many different individuals have been intimidated that in that fashion to tell to be told to shut up, and it worked.
A lot. A lot did. But
There's a movie about this, a documentary that was released in 20
yeah. And it,
in it.
yep, it has a good amount. I don't know how many of the students are in it, but I've watched it. It's got, you know, a good handful of the students that they were able to track down. Some students didn't want to be on camera. They still did not deny what happened. They're like, no, it happened. I just don't want to be a part of this anymore. They're like,
Blame them. Yeah, I don't blame them.
But so there's that. So physical effects. So some students reported feeling frightened during the encounter, while others felt calm and mesmerized by the experience. Some experienced after effects like nightmares and anxiety. Okay, so basically just went through like an event and there's like, oh my God, like what do I do with this? But
PTSD, we get it.
one of the things that a good chunk of the kids did say was that when they were talking with these beings, they truly felt calm and at peace. Like it was like telepathically letting them know, like, hey, you're not in danger. We're just trying to talk to you. Like, you know, pretty much saying like we're peaceful. And then like, so if something is telepathic like that, you want to talk about being able to get the advantage taken of you. You know what I mean? Like, what if they weren't good?
Scared, that would scare the shit out of me, honestly.
I'd shoot one.
I'm just like if I'm just playing soccer out in the middle of some field, and then all of a sudden it's like, glorp glorp, hello child.
Yeah, for sure. Glurp glurp.
What the fuck?
Have you seen any motorcycles here? We really like motorcycles.
That's a nice motorcycle. We came to this fucking planet because we heard you got really good motorcycles.
I got the titties.
We're here for the white women's boobies.
Let me see them titties. We're here for the boobs.
That's just Fred.
All right. So psychological evaluations. So the witnesses underwent psychological evaluations to assess the credibility of their accounts. Most of the children displayed no signs of mental illness or deception. And this was done by professionals. They're like, yeah, this is all panning out. Like they don't have any signs of this shit. Like
that's cool.
Investigations. So the Ariel School UFO Encounter garnered the attention of prominent UFO researchers and journalists. Investigations were conducted, and the incident received media coverage both locally and internationally. And that's the part that really gets at me, is because, you know, under the investigation part, I wanted to put all the stuff when I was, you know, about like the dudes in suits and different government agencies. You know, and when I say government agencies, I can only really say that because I don't know which ones they were. They didn't know either. They weren't stating which one they were. They were trying to say that they were the law and they were, you know, who they were, but they're not going to say who they were with when they were coming to these little kids' homes with, you know, to their parents and shit.
Why would they?
They don't need to. Yeah.
Point.
Yeah. And so it's just like one of those things where it's like, I wanted to put it in there, but unfortunately there's like no documents. There's literally no paper trail for those types of investigations. They don't exist. Not that I know of, or at least that publicly I can find. That's why I didn't write it in there. I'm just making sure to state it because according to the kids, they did come around. Like, you know, to their homes and shit. So, skeptical perspective. So, while many consider the Ariel School encounter a compelling case, skeptics suggested explanations such as mass hysteria or misidentification of a natural phenomenon. And it's like, okay, how is that a misidentification of a natural phenomenon? A fucking disc with the description so exact and so consistent among 60 fucking kids over a long ass time, and it's like, oh, it's a
Hold on. I mean, technically, it was a natural phenomenon. Aliens are natural, right? So the idea of it being misinterpreted, there might just be trying to deflect a little bit in regards to how it really happened. They're like, yeah, it's natural, but you're not remembering it right.
yeah. I have a theory on. Just remind me when we're done going over the next two cases. I have a theory about aliens that's of a very different theory than I've ever thought of before, and I thought of it when I was going through these, especially this case, like this one. This was what like helped me spark it, and then it just like everything else. So, what was it? Legacy. So the Ariel School UFO encounter remains obviously one of the most significant and well-documented cases involving multiple witnesses, especially young children. It is often fucking child trafficking. It is often that's where it's stemming from. The aliens, they're the ones running the fucking child trafficking ring. It is often.
Speaking of that, did you happen to see the Sean Ryan episode with the whistleblower who was referring to the aliens trafficking children and people for the military and other individuals?
No.
There was a guy, I forget his name at the top of my head, that he was saying that he was sent to the Philippines after a tsunami and they were in an open field and there was a UFO clear as day. Like he's seeing a car drive down the street. He can see it in full
Wait,
view.
are you talking about where they got ambushed by all these other military people in tactical fashion?
Yeah.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
listen. I just didn't get to hear the whole thing. I just got to hear the part of the initial encounter with this other tactical unit.
Yeah, so I listened to the whole 3-hour interview. He was saying that there was other U.S. military individuals driving busloads of those.
It's freight containers
Oh, yeah, cargo freight containers
on the back of trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, being driven into like a lift that went into the flying hovercraft.
Yeah.
Then
oh, I guess I did. You're bringing all of it back to me now. I guess I did hear that. It's been a minute. I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was a while. When I heard that, I was like, whoa, like, what the fuck?
So who's to say these little 3'3" bastards been trying to steal those children?
No, I don't think it was the 3'3" bastards. I think it was more of that's their reverse engineered craft. Because there's already blueprints out there that got released in the Freedom of Information Act with the actual blueprint and schematic of a flying disc military craft.
So that
because
was,
they reversed
the
it. It was what they
assumption.
built through reverse engineering of
That was
UFO.
that was the assumption that guy made, was that it wasn't really the aliens who were driving it. It was one that we built out of our own metals and materials.
Yeah. Oh, and he also just to throw it out there, when they got flanked by these other tactical military guys, whoever the fuck they were extremely well trained, like very well trained. Like I don't remember if basically the way he described it made it really kind of put it across that they were more trained than him and his team were, like more efficiently trained. And
like a Navy SEAL or some shit like that.
Yeah, or was it a ranger? He was either a ranger.
Yeah, he's a ranger. He was a ranger. Yeah.
Yeah, and those guys are bad motherfuckers, like hands down. All those dudes are bad motherfuckers, like with their training. And it's like the fact that he was like basically insinuating like, yeah, they were better than us. Like the way they did everything like was so goddamn efficient. It wasn't even funny. And then on top of that, they had technology on them that was like apparent to him. Remember he was talking about like their little data pad things? They had these like data pads.
Absolutely.
These guys had this tactically had these data pads that were, basically had information on them just from doing like a scan. of anything they scanned with it or some shit like that. I think that's what he said. I may be misquoting. I can't remember, but the way it was explained. Anyways, let's move on from that real quick. So that's it for the Ariel School, UFO encounter, and there is one. So there's two left. There's the Valensole UFO and and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, the Kaikoura Lights.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. The guy's name was Michael Herrera, and it was in Indonesia after tsunami. That's all I wanted to clarify. For anybody out there, don't leave a fucking comment. I fixed it.
Nice. Yeah, there you go, bro. That's where you fucking do it. You fucking fix that shit. But yeah, so there's the Valensole and there's I'm gonna say the Valensole UFO for last. Let's just go ahead and get through the Kaikoura Lights Encounter. So I'm gonna go through this one, not like super fast, but I'm gonna try not to get sidetracked so we can just kind of go through it. So we can get to the last one, and then we can get into a couple of other things before we wrap it up.
I can dig it.
So with the Kaikoura, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's Kaikoura. Kaikoura? I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it.
I saw that one. Let me verify real quick. Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked over here.
Oh, you're good. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm just going to say Kaikoura. If there's a better way of pronouncing it, please comment below on the YouTube upload and our Spotify. Comment how you actually pronounce it, because I got no fucking idea. Let's start with the witnesses. So the witnesses of this event were the crew of a safe cargo aircraft. So in 1978, a safe cargo aircraft with a crew of 3, including pilot Bill Startup and co-pilot Robert Guard, had an extraordinary encounter with a series of mysterious lights over the South Island of New Zealand. The crew observed a group of bright lights that appeared to be following their aircraft. These lights were initially seen as a cluster, but then spread out into various formations. The sighting occurred during a routine cargo flight from Wellington to Christchurch. The lights seemed to perform highly unusual maneuvers, including rapid changes in altitude and formation. The crew attempted to communicate with air traffic control, who confirmed radar returns in the same vicinity as the lights. So they're saying, hey, we see them too. Like, we can see them on radar. So ground-based radar operators at Wellington Airport also detected, and this is a different place. This is not the where they were going to, right? So they reached out to Christchurch control tower where they were going to, because they were closer to it, saying like, hey, are you seeing this shit on radar? And then where they came from at Wellington Airport, which was farther away, was picking them up as well. And that got confirmed.
Fuck.
Also, I unidentified objects and tracked them on radar, confirming their presence. So let's get into the official investigation. So the Kaikoura Lights Encounter prompted an official investigation by the New Zealand government. Interviews with the flight crew and radar operators were conducted to examine the credibility of their accounts. So here's I kind of categorized this as possible explanations just because it was in there with some of the information, research I came across. So while the investigation did not definitively identify the light's origin, some suggested they might be caused by natural phenomena or misidentified aircraft, which potentially could be possible, but however, the erratic movements and the radar evidence challenge these explanations. So with just to clarify the erratic movements, what they witnessed these lights do, they were so how there's the rapid change in altitudes and all that stuff that these lights were doing, they were doing it in such rapid succession that was not something a man-made aircraft could do at all. At all, because they would go from these certain points and then stay in certain points. Now, there's some information I didn't put in because there was a lot, right, of operator accounts from these control towers for who are operating the radar, right, and other people who are in the room, and basically they were watching these things stay still on radar. They weren't moving.
I would kill to fucking see those radar screens that they're offering. They're
Yeah.
talking about these radar screens and how they can verify the evidence. Let's see the.
Yeah. Well, especially I want to see it on today's modern radars because the new radar systems they have out now are fucking dude, it's insane what these
That's
things.
a hell yeah from me, brother.
Can I get a hell yeah? Waiting.
It's fucking peak, dude. There ain't no way that's gonna register.
It will register because I have my limiter. I have a limiter filter set on both of us, so we can scream.
My headset was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Stone Cold fucking says so, motherfucker. Anyways,
Get a hell yeah, brother.
dude, I just want to like right now, like if I were ever in an operator's room and I see these things on radar, I just want to like pull a WWF moment from back when I was a kid. When you see him bust out the beer and smash that shit and drink it, fuck you, hell yeah. Like
Throw an elbow on the fucking radar screen.
fucking told you UFOs are fucking real. Boom. People's elbow, bitch. Actually, that's the Rock's thing. Fuck
That's
the
The
Rock.
Rock,
I
yeah.
hate the Rock.
He's smelling what I'm cooking. And what I'm cooking is this big old juicy fart, boy.
I thought you were about to go a sexual direction with that for a second. I was like, whoa.
That's you. I got mad at you.
Whoa. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, dude. You want some juicy rock is what you want.
And then I started fucking roasting you, looking like
You want some Listen, we all know you want some juicy rock, but reality, you want some juicy. What's his actual name?
Dwayne Johnson.
Are you wanting to Dwayne his Johnson?
I don't know what that means.
Dwayne, like drain, play on word,
Like a little baby.
like drain. Yeah, Dwayne his Johnson. Anyways, moving on. So, let's move on from the possible investigations. So, the Kaikoura Lights Encounter remains a subject of interest among UFO enthusiasts. So that was pretty much the whole thing, right? I just thought it was interesting because there were so many multiple people who saw this thing on radar, right? And you had 2 confirmed locations, one even farther away, 2 different control towers picking it up and being able to see them clearly. We're talking about multiple objects, unidentified objects, doing maneuvers and ascensions and descensions in altitude in a fashion that was not in the realm of what we understand to be, physics where it's capable, right? So I thought it was good. I thought it was worth talking about because that's like the basis of every fucking UFO. You see him do this wild shit. Commander Fravor's a perfect example where he chases that Tic Tac. He was in a what, F-22?
He was, yeah.
And F-22 is the best thing we have. The F-22 Raptor is the fastest, most versatile. It's a 5th gen fighter, a dog fighter, dude. Like that thing is so fucking fast, so fucking like, dude. It can do. Have you ever seen Top Gun? Like 2, the second one.
The first one was a homosexual fanfic. The second one was like a heterosexual like fan shit.
Yeah. So in the second one, but you've seen the second movie, right?
It was fun.
Okay, well, no, there's a point in the movie, it shows what they're capable of. So you see the enemy plane at the end when they're having the dogfight, right? And it's got Maverick and Rooster in that old piece of shit, like F-18 or whatever it was, or F-16. Yeah. And you see that thing do this like weird maneuver in the air like this and lets the rocket go past it, even though it was locked on. And it did this weird maneuver that should have stalled. Like you couldn't do that in these other planes. They would crash. They would not be able to do it. It's physically impossible. That's a 5th gen fighter. That's how maneuverable and crazy they are. They can do some wild shit. Also with the F-22, you can actually land it vertically, not horizontally.
I've actually seen that in person.
Yep.
The jet hovering in Texas.
Yep. I got to see it too.
Driving down I think it's 45 or whatever it is. There's an air base right off the highway that they're just floating in the air.
Yep. I got to go to a air show and I saw they had an F-22 come out there and it literally did a vertical takeoff, did some crazy ass shit where it like literally spiraled itself in one place, like doing this, like literally doing like full 360s and random random movement, like random directions, like completely just like that would have made any other plane or any other aircraft we have crash immediately. This thing did it and then just went ooh and landed right back down. Like,
that we have the technology to do crazy shit.
yeah, and
And
it was doing these lights were doing shit that thing's not even close to even thinking about doing. Like, and that should say enough, you know. But yeah, so it's a continued mystery with it. This is pretty much all the information I really have on it. The last one, let's just. Do you want to just jump right into the last one, and we just knock it out?
yeah, absolutely. Hey, can we take a quick pee break? I gotta take a leak.
You go take your pee breaks, or I'm gonna pause it real quick.
Classic Evan piss.
Classic Evan piss. And we are back from Evan's pee break. We are back.
Boys back at it again.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, so let's get into the very last UFO case we're going to talk about. And this is the Valensole. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correct, because this takes place in France. But they call it the Valensole UFO Incident. So the witness to this is Maurice Masse, or Mass. It's Masse. So we're going to call it Masse. So that way I can feel fancy. That's probably wrong, but I don't give a fuck. Oui. So on July 1st, if you want to read any of this shit, because you have the file too, you're like more than welcome to take over.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I actually went to go to an actual document that has photos and everything of it.
Cool. All right. So on July 1st, so yeah, you should put up the photos of it and shit whenever we get to like evidence parts and stuff. If you want to share your screen, if you can. I
can share it with you at least.
Okay. Or at least send it to me and I can put it up for people to see while we're talking about it in the post edit. So on July 1st, 1965 in Valensole, France, a farmer named Maurice Masse had an extraordinary encounter that would become known as the Valensole UFO Incident. Masse described the object as an egg-shaped craft, roughly 2 meters, which is 6.5 feet in length, with small rectangular legs and a dome top. So imagine a chicken egg turned right side up, like long ways upwards, with little landing feet. Which is a very interesting type of UFO. It sounds more like a probing pod. You know what I mean? Like a survey, like a survey pod. I'll pull that up in a minute. I don't want to mess up the setup right now because I don't have that plumbed into scene switch for it. The incident unfolded while Maurice Masse was working in his lavender field. Suddenly dude, something about that just seems so fucking classy. I was working in my lavender field. I bet you it smells dope.
There's one not too far from where you live, and it's the coolest fucking place in the world. It's beautiful. Everything's purple and smells great. It's calming and it's nice.
My wife grows lavender. We have
not as much as this farm does.
No, probably not. Probably not. Suddenly, Masse was working in his lavender field. Suddenly, he spotted the UFO, which had landed nearby. During the encounter, Masse claimed to have felt paralyzed, unable to move. 2 small humanoid beings, about 1 meter, so just like the school kids described, about 3.3 foot tall. With olive-colored skin, large slanted eyes, and dark suits, approached him. They communicated telepathically, expressing... See, and it's the same description. Exact same description, and that was where I noticed correlations. Like, dude, if people were just to go through cases of how people describe stuff, and it's all from random different time periods, like... And information wasn't as public. A good general populace didn't even know of certain UFO encounter claims because this is a whole completely different country.
So far, we've been in 2 different continents and almost 30 years apart. So this one's 1965 in France. The first one was 1970 in, I think it was Texas, and
1980
in Huffman, Texas, and then the next one was 1994 in Zimbabwe.
Yep.
It's 3 continents. I apologize. That's 3 different countries.
Where is it? So He claimed to have felt paralyzed and able to move. Two small humanoid beings, about 1 meter tall, which is 3.3 feet tall, with olive-colored skin, large slanted eyes, and dark suits, approached him. They communicated telepathically, expressing interest in examining the lavender plants. So it's like think about it. What we do as like scientists, we go to areas to investigate and do research on like bugs, plants, insects, in this remote place that's uniquely different than these other places that we're from, right? Just only we're not going to another planet to do it. We're doing it in our own planet, right? Like, you know, we do that shit all the time. Like, look at what we do in the Amazon rainforest. They communicated to, or sorry, they were wanting to examine the lavender plants. So some of the plants were touched by the beings. I almost said beavers. I don't know why. They're touched by Justice Beaver. What's a Justice Beaver? They're touched by the beings, leaving behind an oily residue. When they touched it, it left oil residue. It's like, man, dude, take a shower. Fuck. Like, damn, bro. Like, can you imagine one of these? No wonder they're so they can anal probe people. There's the fear of anal probe. They're all naturally lubed up, dude. Like,
they're all super slick and like slimy, dude. I get it.
dude, I can see it right now. Me and you are gonna get fucking abducted. All of a sudden, we're gonna see their slimy hands. Like, you get that shit away from my ass. Like,
quick in, quick out, easy.
At least they're kind enough to use lube.
Wait, no.
Don't use your thumb. That's bigger. Anyways, dude, I'm also like, what if their aliens had like long ass fingers, dude? That's like impaling you. You dead. It's gonna go.
I just thought
it's gonna go up your.
Tickle my colon.
It's gonna go up your butt and out your mouth. Vlad the Impaler style. Anyway, sorry, I went gross with that one. So, leaving bio oil residue. So, Maurice Massé's account of the incident remained consistent over time, and he was regarded as a credible witness. His story aligned with what other UFO encounters involving humanoid beings. And on top of that, he was, or well, I don't know if I put it in here or not. I'll know once I read down more. But he was known as someone in his community, in his town, of someone of high integrity and honesty. Like, people knew him as, he was a revered person for being such an integral guy, and, you know, just to the point. You know, what you see is what you get. You know, he had a very good reputation. Like, it was not like he's making some shit up. Like, you know what I mean? That's why people gave him credibility, because he was a very honest man in his walks of life. So there's that. So something to take into account. And the fact that his story aligned with other UFO encounters involving the beings that he would not have knowledge of at the time, because the people who did the investigating knew of it, but no one else knew about it. You know, it's pretty wild.
So almost 5 years, 20 years earlier than the other ones.
Oh yeah, no shit. So the investigation. So the Valensole UFO incident received attention from UFO researchers and investigators. Samples of the mysterious oily substance left on the lavender plants was collected and analyzed, but no definitive conclusions were reached. And let me give some context to that. So I went ahead and just put definitive conclusions were reached, but only because basically when they tried to do tests on it, they basically got no results back. Like, it was giving like no data back when they were doing tests, like everything down to the periodic table. Nothing was coming back. Like, everything. Like, they literally were running tests on it, and they didn't even find water in it, like H2O. Like,
one thing I noticed that you haven't mentioned is that the ship itself left on his. When once it left, it eventually became like hard, like concrete, and they found calcium residue left over.
Damn. Yeah, I missed that. I I remember reading about it. I just forgot to put it in my notes. But yeah, that's a good point to bring up, because that's where the ship was. You know, and that makes me wonder, because I don't remember if I read anything about it leaving a or what type of residue it would have been, on the thing. If you want to keep reading real quick, I have to go open a door real fast. If you could,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
go ahead
Yeah,
and read.
sure.
I'll be right back.
So this thing that landed on this guy's farm, two beings walked out. I think Ben already said that shit. But they were talking, is what the guy said. That they were having some sort of communication. They were grumbling, blah, 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 blah. They were grumbling to one another, and they kept pointing this like pencil like thing at Masse. Um, he said that it paralyzed him. It made him stuck and couldn't move for a undisclosed amount of time. Then once he was frozen, they just got his UFO and their UFO and left, leaving him to a fucked up lavender field, unable to move, and a concrete like calcium floor building up. I just was talking about how he was paralyzed as well.
Sorry, where were we? I just got my headphones back on.
Oh, you're good. I was talking about him, like the aliens were grumbling and like talking to themselves and each other, and they pointed like a pencil like device at Masse and like froze him in his place.
Damn. Sorry, I knew about that, but yeah, I just didn't put it in my notes. But damn, sorry, I came in a juicy moment, dude. Did you read any of the other stuff that was on here?
No, I did not. I was reading my own little document.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. I don't even remember where I was.
You were on the skeptical perspectives.
Oh no, I was on the investigation side.
The U.S. does know where he was.
No, I knew I wasn't down that because I haven't read the government interest part. But anyways, so I left the oily substance, and no definitive conclusions were reached. Because every time they ran it, nothing came back at all. So now let's jump into the before I jump into the government interest. So what detail did you go into about the device? It was just the what you found on your side of things.
That it was just like a pencil like device. It was like thin in shape. That's it.
Like my dick. Anyways,
Not you.
pencil dick, bro. Watch out. It pokes you. Sorry. I'm just making lighthearted. Anyway, you know what? Laugh a little bit, you burly, bearded motherfucker. Anyways.
Look at me, camera. No, I will not laugh, Ben.
Sing it. It listened to you, though. It did look at you. You must be AI, bro. Anyways.
You being a mark for AI, dude.
So the French government took an interest in the incident, adding to its intrigue, and official investigations into the case were conducted. Now, just to shed some light on the government interest side of things. So when they did their investigation, a lot of things were classified, did not get reported to the public. Like even now, it's really hard to find that information. Or even get anything that would allow you to know what they documented, but they got to get a sample of the oily substance that was left behind, and
Said that it wasn't inclusive. You already said this stuff.
Yeah, and they also had the same result as other third-party researchers did with examining in the lab, where they couldn't figure out what the fuck it was. Because it didn't, it did have some elements. Sorry, there were some elements in it that were things you would find, like, certain things that can make a oily type substance, right? Like there were certain basic elements that were in it, but that was a small percentage. There was so much more that, like, basically it comprised of like maybe 10% of that oily substance. They could only identify like 10% of it. The rest of it, they had no fucking idea. It was not coming back on any type of listing or anything, like, of anything known. So that is some really interesting shit.
Yeah, so here, where I'm reading, it said that he also had like bad sleep patterns, and that he had like anxiety as well, much like those children did in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
He said after they left, he continued to have subtle contact with the beings post the encounter in two. So they were still having a telepathic sort of conversation with him. Granted, he probably didn't quite understand what they were saying. It was probably just the grumbling noises again, the whoa, 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 you know. So this guy went through a crazy fucking experience in 1965. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. These are some good cases. I felt like I found some really good ones. I do want to get into the skeptical side of things, though, just because I always believe you should. That's why I always put like something that be objective to some degree. I know I wasn't super objective with a lot of these, but at least I put in there that there is skepticism or people who think that things may be a little bit different and shit like that. It says, so while some researchers regarded the Valensole incident as a compelling evidence of a genuine UFO event, skeptics offered alternative explanations such as misinterpretation of natural phenomena or hallucination. See, I hate that, the whole misinterpretation of natural phenomena. You will see that exact phrase, word for word, in a lot of documents. They put that because they are like, fuck, we don't know how to dissuade against this one. You know what? Misinterpretation of natural phenomena. That's a good one. Like,
well, I mean, I like I said before, aliens are natural. They're naturally forming in the universe. They are sentient beings. They're natural. So saying a misrepresentation of a natural phenomenon, they're just saying, yeah, you saw this shit, but you didn't quite understand what you're seeing.
Ooh. Dude, you just saying that made me remember the theory I want to throw out there once I read the last one or the last paragraph. So just to wrap this up, so the Valensole UFO incident remains a subject of interest among UFO enthusiasts and researchers. And that's pretty much it. And that's it for all the files that I've done and all that fun stuff. I have a dog barking. I'm going to go tell him to be quiet real quick.
Because pause the recording.
I'm worried my mic's picking it up. All right. We are back again. So what is... So you're pulling up some on Project Bluebeam, or do you want me to say my theory first? I'd rather just leave my theory for the end to close us out.
Keep doing. Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay. I was just pulling up Project Bluebeam because I think it's a really interesting thing. Do you know what it is?
No, I do not.
So this is a disclosure that was released about 2 months ago. It's decoding the persistent myths that merges technology, religion, and politics. Project Bluebeam is a whistleblower named Sergei Monast, who died in 1986 at 51 years old. He's a journalist as well, saying that NASA and the UN and other organizations that are on the darker side are planning a new world order through tactics implemented in technology and religion.
That's a heavy hitter.
He said, so proponents of the theory would involve the simulation of an extraterrestrial invasion or the second coming of Jesus Christ through the use of space-based laser-generated holograms. So he's saying that even if these alien sightings are more common and more realistic, they're probably fake because they're just putting holograms in the sky for us to see and think that they're real.
It doesn't explain radar, though. Because that's not how that works. The fact that you can pick these things up on radar?
Yeah, correct. But I mean, not all of these are going to be picked up on radar. A lot of them are just picked up on your cell phone. Most people are just...
Kind of like the Pokemon Go app? Like the Pokemon Go?
Yeah, very similar.
Instead of catching Pokemon, you're catching UFOs.
It's like an STD. Gotta catch them all. STDs.
Syphilis is still a very dangerous disease. Just saying.
So I mean, I just pulled it up. I just pulled it up. I was in the process of reading it while you went to go beat your dog.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! I would never lay a hand on that fluffy, amazing Australian Shepherd. I love my boy. I love that dog so goddamn much, dude. He's my boy. Love that dog. Anyways, so if that's pretty much it, I can jump into my theory.
I didn't have a chance to actually read through the entire thing. I read maybe 3 paragraphs before you got there. I just sent over the article to you.
Okay, I got you. You emailed it to me? Is that what happened?
I just emailed it to you on the same email chain that we were looking at.
Okay, I got you. All right, let me pull it up. Whoa. Sorry, I just saw those the pictures you sent me that they drew.
Gotcha. You're just not seeing them.
That's not a proper the egg shape. If it was an was it? I thought it was like he said it was like a dome top. So those drawings are wrong. It should be like this, not like this. It should be like that.
So there's a few of them where it's vertical, not horizontal. There's a few of them that are that way. That one was just the most detailed and prettier than all the other ones, and it had him actually in the.
I just saw the rider passengers upside down picture. Wow. No, we're not okay. That's good. That's rich. That's rich. Ooh, I like the artwork. They're at the top of Project Bluebeam though for this website.
Very cool looking, right?
Very cool.
You over to the conspiracy pages, but if not, I'll just
Probably not. You'll just have to send me the link. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, so everything with Project Bluebeam is just it's basically the psychology of belief. That's it. That's really what it's categorized under.
It comes back to Yuri Bezmenov as always. It always fucking does. That they're just trying to manipulate our thoughts and tell us what to think and do these things and distract us from other things that just to make us happy.
I don't buy it. It's not as cool as my theory at all. I don't buy it one bit. Fuck Project Bluebeam. It can suck a dick.
Tell us your theory.
So as I was going into this, all the research into these UFO cases, right? Because I had a bunch of other contenders, but they would have required like their own episode. There was so much to dive into. Like I wouldn't have been able to. We would not have been able to do multiple cases like we did today.
Well, hold on. I mean, listeners, if you want us to do more detailed UFO experience things that Ben's talking about, please.
Oh, I'm already planning on it. I want to do another episode, like maybe not next episode, the week after, next episode after that. I want to designate like a good 2 hours. It would take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through 2 of them. There's a lot. It's really just going through fleshing out the documents because each document has its own unique details. From these like actual military officials and firsthand accounts at military bases, and these are declassified documents that got leaked before they were declassified. These are documents that got leaked. We're talking 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and they're real. They're 100% real.
Fuck.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty fucking wild.
I might have to go buy those books and read them with you.
Now, no, well, one of these cases they're not in these books. They're ones I just found on my own when I was just going through shit. But one of them is in the book. It's actually the CIA UFO papers. That's where it got turned on to. And then when I started looking it up, that's where I actually found out that's why that document in there is not redacted. Because there was no point. It was already leaked 30 years ago. So they originally released it with the Freedom of Information Act and all that stuff, but they redacted everything. And then there was a thread of people that came out going, "Why the fuck did you redact it? That document got released 30 years ago. Here's the actual document," and it was unredacted. And they were like, "Fuck," because it was talking about a whole bunch of other shit. Yeah, because it happened at a nuclear silo. And that's...
Hell.
Yeah. Or it was... I don't want to say it. It was a missile launched. I'm calling it a nuclear silo facility because...
Well, fuck. Let's do another episode on that real soon. Just put it out there.
Yeah, huh? I want to do it after the next episode. Like...
Big 10-4.
Okay, so my theory. So after digging into these, I randomly had this idea. What if aliens, UFOs, let's say... Everyone thinks about the idea that these aliens are these beings, right? From another solar system, galaxy, universe, dimension, you name it. There's lots of theories that go around them. But what if they're not actually flesh and blood beings? What if they're not? What if they are like synthetic organisms that we created? So think about what they do, right? Their whole narrative across the board, pretty much on average, is protect the planet and essentially helping us and keeping us from killing ourselves. That's been kind of the average narrative that's been happening, right? Overall, averagely, right? What if, because we know that we are, that the earth is very old, and we know that there has obviously been very huge cataclysmic events that have happened on this planet long ass time ago. What if at one point, like, look at the pyramids, we know the Egyptians didn't build them, right? We know that they didn't build the pyramids. The pyramids were already fucking there.
Yeah.
And there's no documentation on even who or how they're even fucking built. And they got some old ass information out there. And they're like, yeah, we have no fucking idea. So think about like this. This is just a theory. It's loose, but just hear me out. There's no evidence necessarily to support this, but I think it's a kind of a cool thing, perspective to think about. What if we actually built these synthetic organisms in a previous time frame, like a long ass time ago? Cataclysm, like we knew that there was a cataclysmic event coming that we could not avoid. That we knew that the majority of the human populace would be wiped out, right? So we basically had these synthetic organisms that were essentially like servants and butlers for us, right? That they did shit for us. Like they assisted us with our everyday stuff, everything from science to you know what. And then we were like, shit, the end is coming. We know that the majority of the human populace is going to get wiped out. There's nothing we can do to avoid this cataclysmic event that's about to take place. So we take these things and we send them off. Maybe there was a handful of humans at the time that did survive, but they're long dead by now, right? They have no way to reproduce, right? Because there was maybe only a handful of people that got out. And over time, they knew that it's like, well, shit, there's no point in trying to reproduce because there's no other planet for us to go to that's sustainable, right? Near us. And this is the loose part of the theory, right? So cataclysm event happens. What if the whole narrative, what if this is just an initiative project where these things are coming around, pretty much keeping an eye on us in this petri dish we live in to make sure, like, because their whole prerogative is to ensure the regrowth of our species, to bring us, like, for us to grow back and get back to the place we were at one point. Maybe we're at a point where we actually were a more harmonious species at one point, and we weren't so volatile because we had been around a very long fucking time, and we had just gotten to that point in our civilization where it was pretty much peace. And I don't even want to say peace. We were just at a point where we weren't doing the dumb ape shit we're doing now, and have been doing since we were fucking cavemen drawing with poop on the walls. And this big reset that happened. And the reset is just due to a cataclysmic event that took place. And these things come around to try to help us get to the point of where we used to be. But what if that is built into their main central programming? Like, this is their objective and this is what they're supposed to do. That's why when we have encounters with these aliens, and they look so weird, they almost look like they're not like alive in a way, because it has this weird skin. It looks like lack of color and like almost like lack of blood circulation, right? Like they look so paled out, and lack of blood circulation would do that, because if they're just
could they just be like sentient AI robots that we got so smart that then they just traveled into the galaxy without us?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But why the fuck would they come back and be trying to help us then? You know what I mean? I was just saying, like,
we created them, and essentially, anyway.
Yeah, but no, that was kind of the theory I had going. Is like, what if these things were the failsafe, kind of like the plan B in case the majority of the human race was wiped out, right? To the point where there was only like a small handful left, and we knew that wasn't going to be able to keep going, the human species, who survived that, age of the civilization. But all that's left on the planet was, and like we're the ones who reseeded the planet with us again, type thing.
Oh, whoa. That's a really cool thought. I like that.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, it probably is not even close to true, but that would explain. I bet you there's some human who's pretending to be God, and he probably sent his son down, and he's like, "Get this, guys! I'm gonna pull a fucking fast one on him and see how long this joke goes on." And all of a sudden, they come back around from visiting some other dimension, and like, "Oh fuck, they took that shit seriously." Like, dude, they based like everything I did, like I used the hologram emitter, dude. Like, that's the only reason why I woke from the dead after 3 days.
In 100,000 years.
Dude, I forgot all about this shit. I thought they'd be dead by now. Like, fuck. So,
All right, well, anyway.
That was my theory.
Have we gone long enough?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. But no, what'd you think of the theory, though? I'm just really curious. Like, what'd you really think of it? I thought it was a cool concept. Make a cool video game.
I mean, that's the theory is a good idea. Like most theories, there's no like factual evidence or backing proof to it. I'm still stuck on the like Prometheus style, human race evolution based sort of concept. I don't know. I honestly I couldn't tell you. I don't have an opinion on it either way, other than that the theory would have to have more backing evidence to prove that something like that sort of happened.
You just said Prometheus, so it made me think of Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
Which I love Prometheus, the movie. That was awesome. I love that whole concept, right? But Ridley Scott actually said, I don't know if it was an interview or he just gave a comment to a journalist who was like just doing a Q&A with him, like over the phone or some shit. And he was just like, they're like, how'd you come up, like basically asked, how'd you come up with the idea for these engineers who would be basically in this universe, this fictional universe, our gods, right? The whole God concept. And he was like, I had a dream. He said he literally thought of that idea was from a dream he had. He had a dream.
I've also thought that as a young man, I got stuck on Charles Darwin forever, and then I thought, how did evolution even begin? How do humans begin? So that's something that we still don't know what the underlying factor is, right? Yeah, sperm in a cell, in the egg cell, but nobody knows what happens inside of that egg to make it life. So there's something.
Are you talking about now we don't? You talking about now we don't?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a concept, like we're able to examine things and look at things differently. Like, you can look up videos, shit on YouTube and shit of.
It's a concept. It's not a factual evidence thing yet, right?
Yeah, we can identifying things going on. Now, what sparks that? I know that there's still debate, for sure, and I'm assuming that's.
Of course, it's electricity and like waves, it's electricity and like whatnot, right? Like that's what nervous system to work, anything than that.
I think it's more than that. I think it's the planet. I know this is gonna sound fucking stupid, but I think it's the planet.
So that's why I sort of had the concept of the Prometheus style alien giving us the life on our planet to start us. He was the seed to give us the energy on. Anyway,
what if the planet? Can I throw an idea out there real quick before we wrap this up?
No, because I'm done recording. My MacBook's about to die.
Oh, I'm recording.
My Mac's about to die.
Oh, okay. Then 30 seconds. Do I have 30 seconds?
You got about 25. Come on.
Okay, so you know what? Fuck it. I'll save it for a later time. I'll save it for a later time. I don't want to risk losing you.
What a good edge. We're edging the audience.
Yeah, edging it. We'll continue this later. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you guys on the next episode. Yeah.